Hey, how you doing? It's Dr. Dave, Paragon Chiropractic. This is the third of five blogs in this series on just working out the definitions of the things you see in labels or you hear about. This lecture or this particular blog is called "How Sweet It Is." Can you imagine what we're going to be talking about here? Yeah, sugar. All right. So I'm going to read and I might add a few things here and there as we go on. And there are lists in this particular blog. And I'm not going to bore you with reading the list. You probably are still going to have to go to the blog and look at the labels, print them out, do something so that you can take them with you. The lists basically describe all the various terms that are used for sugars that you'll see on a label. You would think, oh, sugar, these guys, they throw a lot of curveballs, so you'll want to pay attention. All right, so we'll get going. Hello. Well, I hope you all have been enjoying these past few blogs and have started to have a better understanding about some of the things you've been eating. You know, by this time, even if you're just reading the blog and it's like, oh wow, that doesn't look very good, I'm going to buy it eating it anyhow, but probably shouldn't. That's still progress. All right, well, let's move on. So what the heck is high fructose corn syrup? Wow, that sounds intense. And good luck finding something or anything that doesn't have that. You can go get a jar of pickles and you figure out it's just vinegar and water and pickles. Oh no, oh no. High fructose corn syrup's right there in the product. And it's like, you got to be kidding me. Oh, I'm not. I wish I was. So basically, high fructose corn syrup is a processed sweetener, and therefore it's a cheaper source for sweetening foods, and therefore it's in pretty much everything because it's cheaper. Make this for pennies. Why would you spend something that's going to cost 15 cents to put into a product when you can put something that's only 2 cents? And oh, by the way, it creates an addiction too. Yeah. If you read Max's book, Genius Foods, there's tons of chapters on how the basic fat and sugar stuff and what it does up here, and it creates addictions and comparable and stronger than say like methamphetamines, crack, and cocaine. And it is by design. How about that? Good. High fructose corn syrup begins life as cornstarch, which a person will also see in many processed foods. You'll see cornstarch. So it's a sugar, basically. So cornstarch is glucose, which is a sugar that has been reduced to corn syrup, which is another word you'll see when reading labels. And then enzymes are added to convert some of the glucose into fructose. So now it is a glucose that has been made also another type of sugar. So there you go. So basically, it's extra sweetened, extra sugared sugar. Yeah, good. When the manufacturer says high fructose corn syrup, what they're talking about is essentially the ratio of fructose to the glucose. So the fructose level can be anywhere from 42% to 55% fructose. That's pretty intense. So again, it's like taking sugar and then figuring out a way to sugar it more. And then it's addictive. Wow. And it's in everything. Good. The big claim to fame for fructose is that it does not elevate blood sugar, at least not when you eat it. So it goes straight to the liver, and when it goes there, your body starts to convert it. Yeah, that was Lily. Sometimes she's got a runny nose. And then it releases fats and does all sorts of other things. But it gets converted. So once it goes to the liver, it's actually converted to glucose. And once it's converted to glucose or glycogen or fat, now the insulin is released. Not directly, but eventually. And so it still raises the insulin level up. And this would be a good time to talk about this real quick, is that it's really, the term's called hyper, which means over, insulinemia. So it's too much insulin in the bloodstream. And what happens with that is that you will find if when you go to the doctor or if you come here and we decide to draw some blood, one of the things we're going to look at is your fasting insulin level. You'll never see that. So it should be less than 25. And if it's elevated, that means your pancreas is cranking. And that insulin, when insulin is in the bloodstream, you do not, hear me, do not, cannot, will not burn fat for energy. Cannot, will not, when insulin levels are elevated. So there it is. That's the big thing. What elevates these insulin levels? That's what we're talking about right now. High fructose corn syrup most definitely will. So chronic overconsumption of high fructose corn syrup causes an increase in fat production and leads to insulin insensitivity. So insulin insensitivity means the cells that are supposed to take the sugar, they're like, we've had enough. We're not going to do this. So now the liver has to, the sugar has to be stored someplace else. It might be stored in your liver. It might be stored in your heart, your kidneys, your organs, in the fat, all over the place. This is not a good thing. Many researchers and healthcare practitioners directly attribute the obesity epidemic, and make no mistake, it is an epidemic, that has been sweeping our planet to high fructose corn syrup. You know, I watch a lot of shows from the 60s, and you'll see people who are overweight, but they're not obese. What I'm talking about is you'll see these people, they've got shoulders on them like this. Their bottom and their hips and their butt are this big. They are absolutely mammoth. And it's from the high fructose, other things, but mostly the high fructose corn syrup, which I said creates an addiction. As soon as you eat a little bit, you want more and more and more and more and more, and it's insatiable and it never is satisfying. The fructose level actually interferes with a lot of the neurotransmitters, the dopamine, the serotonin in the brain, and you just can't get enough of it. As a matter of fact, the research is showing that by 2030, 50%, that's half of the US population, will be obese. And we're not talking about overweight and a few pounds. We're talking obese. Please keep in mind that when speaking of fructose, this does not include fruit sugar naturally found in fruits and vegetables. Okay? This is stuff that has been extracted from and added. So when you have a piece of fruit, oh, I can't eat that, it's got fructose in it, as you're drinking a can of soda pop and eating a candy bar, because no. So that's what you want to be careful of. So the fruit. And of the fruit, certain ones are a little more. So like pineapple, bananas, things like that. The real sweet fruits have a lot of fructose in them, so you don't want to pound a lot of that. The juices, you know, pineapple, apple juice, orange juices. You know how many oranges it takes to make a 10-ounce, 12-ounce glass of orange juice? It's probably a couple dozen. Could you sit down and eat a couple dozen oranges right now? No, you're getting it in that. So, and that is where it's been extracted from the fruit itself. You get what we're saying? So it doesn't have all the rest of the stuff with it, the fiber, the pulp, and so on and so forth. Of the fruits, just as an aside, berries are really good. They have a tremendous amount of phenol, which are, you know, nutrients in plants, and based on the color of the food. But berries, especially blueberries, have a very low amount of fructose. So you can get away with strawberries, blueberries, blackberries, gooseberries, boysenberries, and things like that. Again, not tons of them, but they don't have as much fructose as, say, other fruits. All right, so where can a person find high fructose corn syrup? I've got a list here. Candy, packaged sweets and baked goods, soda, fruit juices, fast food, sauces and other condiments, ice cream and popsicles, breakfast foods, jams and preservatives, bread and crackers, pancake and dessert syrups, and applesauce. If you recall from a previous blog, we talked about nutrient-dense whole foods. Nutrient-dense whole foods, you won't find high fructose corn syrup. So you're starting to see, it's like, well, if I ate real food, wouldn't I be avoiding high fructose corn syrup? Absolutely, because high fructose corn syrup does not exist in nature. It's made, it's manufactured, it's added, and it's added. So you go, so that you become, as they say, sugar daft. You just got to have calories and eat. So sadly, it's almost impossible not to find high fructose corn syrup in everything we eat. Bottom line, read those labels. And that's what these next 2 or 3 or the 5 blogs that I'm doing are, to help you read those labels. Again, we haven't gotten to it, but at some point we want to do a video where I think I might take Dr. Diane, walk through the supermarket, pull a few things, and just read labels and show you. We're not pointing out products, we're only reading labels. And you'll say, oh, I get it now. So, oh, nutrient-dense whole foods, they're probably what I want to eat. Yeah, just the way Mother Nature made them. My opinion personally, Mother Nature always trumps mankind. Just an aside. It'll take a little work, but products without high fructose corn syrup can be found, but it's an effort worthwhile. Like in ketchup, we get our pickles from a dollar store because they have pickles that don't have high fructose corn syrup in it. And pickles are actually good for you. It's a fermented sort of a vegetable. Cucumbers are amazing for you. Very healthy. And I guess while we're on the subject of sugars, here is a list of the various names found on food labels that mean sugar. This was taken from an internet article written by a lady named Anna Barnwell. And a similar list can be found in Max Lugavere's Genius Foods. So you got your basics. I won't read this because the list is, 56 items long. But fructose, glucose, lactose, maltose, anytime you see the word OSE, O-S-E, that is a sugar. So even if they call it broccoliose, it's sugar. Even if it's ambrosia-ose, it's sugar. Even if it's manna-ose or manna-ose, it's sugar. Even though it's supposed to be really good for you. Other things like beet sugar, brown sugar, cane juice sugars, coconut sugar, corn syrup solids, you'll see that. Crystalline fructose, date sugar, dextrin. These are all sugars. So we got a few more here. Golden sugar, grape sugar, raw sugar, yellow sugar. I guess that's going to be pretty obvious when you see the word sugar that it's a sugar. Other ones, liquid ones, like agave nectar syrup. Everybody, that was the biggest thing. Oh, agave is wonderful. No, it's not, man. It just, whoosh. Once again, as soon as that hits the bloodstream, your body just starts dumping insulin like crazy. Once it hits the mouth, boom. There's actually studies that are showing that if you sit here, if you are used to eating processed sugary foods and stuff like that, if you sit here and look at a birthday cake and some Twinkies and some other stuff, your body knows that an entire birthday cake is on its way, or 5 boxes of Krispy Kremes. And so it starts dumping insulin immediately to get ready for this onslaught, just looking at the sugary food. And remember, that's it. You want to lose weight, you've got health issues, you got everything. That they're finding that this elevated insulin, this hyperinsulinemia, emia meaning blood, so it's insulin in the blood, is the connection. It's the joining thing. It's the thing. It's the factor in pretty much every disease known to mankind. So you got all these incredible diseases, and every single one of them, what you're going to find is insulin levels were elevated in the blood. That's heavy duty, which leads to inflammation, which is part of every other disease on the face of the earth. Good. We got brown rice syrup, blackstrap molasses, corn syrup, carob syrup, buttered sugar, buttered sugar. Wow. High fructose corn syrup, honey, molasses, treacle. Honey, I don't know, a little bit of it. It's got a lot. It does a lot for you, but you wouldn't want to be starving and then just take a spoonful of honey. Boom, straight to the bloodstream, insulin through the roof. So if you ate it with something like your vegetables and other stuff. Basically, again, read those labels. Okay, so let's leave this blog at that and allow you time for a field trip to the grocery store and to read these labels. A word of caution, bring smelling salts and someone to catch you when you faint, when you start looking at some of these labels. You're going to be like, it's everywhere. Yeah, and by design, because it's addictive. It's more addictive than cocaine, crack, meth, all these other wonderful drugs. And it is by design. They know that. All right, until next blog, I'm Dr. Dave.